All right, let's do a fun show. This is the Ego 11 versus Geo 2.1 versus CSL video. So, common question, which one should I get? Especially between the Ego 11 and the Geo 2.1 because they're the exact same price. So that, common questions, which one would you get and stuff like that. I'll tell you for X-Ball, this is all personal preference, okay? Everybody's gonna be a little bit different. This is my personal preference. For X-Ball, I prefer the Geo 2.1, okay? For X-Ball, I just like a reg, a tube, quiet gun, done. That is what I like for X-Ball. I don't like having, a bolt across the top here because X-Ball, the bunkers are so damn tiny that, sometimes, I can't always grip the gun like this. Sometimes I'm gripping the gun like this. So it's, you never know what kind of, situation you get into. But I like the fact that it's all enclosed. If I get shot up 100 times, I can just clean it all up really quick. I don't really care too much about efficiency because the games are over in 45 seconds anyway. And, the Geo 2 or the Geo 2.1 for me, if you're an X-Ball, 12.5 ball per second player, I think you will really like it. I like also having the slightly quieter gun on the X-Ball field because the field is so small. Having a quieter gun allows you to get a couple more balls in the air before your opponent knows that you're actually shooting at them. And I tend to see that the Geo 2.1 is definitely a quieter gun than the Ego. In terms of kick, it's not really, they both weigh about the same. In terms of kick, they both shoot about the same in terms of how they feel, in terms of barrel rise, and there's no vibration with the markers either. But I really like the Geo 2.1 for X-Ball. If you're an efficiency freak, and there's a lot of people that are out there that are really big on efficiency, maybe your field only fills to 3,000 PSI, okay, that can be a concern, or you just don't like walking to the airfill station or whatever it is. A lot of people are really concerned about efficiency. I would say go with the Ego 11. Also, if you're a semi-auto shooter, and you really only truly play semi-auto, maybe your field only allows semi-auto, or maybe you play the MPPL league and stuff like that, or semi-auto league, Ego 11 is going to probably be the better way to go. Why? For me personally, I tend to see that when I'm playing semi-auto, even though it's off to the corner of my eye, seeing that bolt go back and forth every time I pull the trigger really helps me get into a rhythm when I'm pulling the trigger. I don't know if it's just a positive reinforcement thing or something like that, but even though you can see the paint coming out, just in the side of your eye, seeing that bolt slamming back and forth when you're in semi-auto, for me it really helps me get into a groove when I'm shooting my marker. I don't know why, but for semi-auto I tend to really like poppet valve guns because I just tend to like that bolt slamming back and forth, which is really, really cool. But I would say if you do a lot of semi-auto shooting, or if you're a consistency freak, or your marker you really need a consistent marker for whatever reason, I would go with the Ego 11. So that's basically the two here. True X-Ball style, if you don't really care too much about efficiency, you want a gun that you can get dirty, not a problem at all, and you want a gun that's a little bit quieter, Geo 2.1. If you want a marker that's a little more efficient, it's going to be a little bit louder, but maybe also it may feel a little bit faster in semi-auto because you see the bolt going back and forth, go with the Ego 11. Now, let's talk about the CSL. I'm not sure who's CSL, maybe it's Madison's or something like that. I had to go dig it out of her toy box. It's funny. A lot of people look forward to the CSL, and then a lot of people kind of roll their eyes at the CSL or the SL version of the Ego. It's just another Ego 11. Okay. There's value there, okay? You've got to take a look at the marker and you got to see, is it worth paying the extra $600 that you're going to pay in order to get a CSL? For a lot of people, they're going to want to pay the extra money for it, okay? But there is the value in the box to justify paying that additional amount. But it's not for everybody, okay? There's a lot of little things, a lot of, detail, minute things that really make a difference. Let's talk about what's inside the box, to see if we can add up the features that you get with the CSL to see if it gives you $600 in value. First off, you're getting a completely different milling pattern than you get with the Ego 11. Milling alone, you're talking about at least adding probably $150+ in value to the gun. The fact that, you look at these cuts, look, even the feed neck, you can see, there's so many things that they did in terms of the milling on the CSL that definitely adds value when you're looking at it in terms of the Ego 11. So, what are some of the other things you get? Carbon fiber barrel tip. What do barrel tips cost these days, or carbon fiber barrels cost these days? What do slides cost these days? Probably $150 each minimum. You get a full barrel kit. That in itself is worth probably about $150. You get the 81, the 85, and the 89 barrel backs. That's $100+. Then you also get a carbon fiber barrel front 14 or 15 inch, and you also get the 16 inch or 16 and a half inch, what, you know, I don't know what the exact length of that one is. That's also probably at least another $100, $150. And also, it's not just a traditional carbon fiber, it's got the gold interweave into that barrel as well. Really nice touch. And so you're looking at least $200+ just for this barrel kit alone. So we're almost halfway there. Now you also get an additional trigger. The trigger alone, you know, what's a good trigger run for these days? Critical trigger, $50, $60. You know, you're also getting one that's anode to match your gun. What would it cost you to take a good trigger, send it off to anode match your gun? It's not cheap, probably $50 for the trigger plus another $20. You get that in the box as well. You also get a valve. The difference between the, you know, you get a high pressure valve and a low pressure valve. If you're really looking for maximum efficiency, you can put the high pressure valve in here. It's going to make your gun a little louder, but you know, you get that in there. What does a valve cost? Maybe $50. Let's talk about some of the other things. You get the new Cure 4 bolt. If you've got an older Ego and you wanted to buy the Cure 4 bolt, what would that run? Probably, you know, maybe $50. So there's some more value there. You also get the ePortal software. ePortal software, I think last time I checked, is what, $30, $40, $50, somewhere around there. So you get ePortal software, and I think see if I missed anything. Oh, and for those that, you know, that this would interest, it doesn't really interest me, but but you also get a badge on PB Nation, which for some people, it's, you know, it could be the deal breaker. That could be the selling point. But you know, you contact Nicky T and he'll put a CSL badge on your, you know, underneath your name, and you can put it with the other 15 badges that you have over on PB Nation. For some people, that's a big deal. For me, it's not really that big of a deal. But you know, for some people, it is, you know, it is an enticing thing about the CSL. You get a little badge, and you know, you can go and brag over on PBN, which I guess would be fun. So, you know, is there value? It's not like they just took the Ego 11 and just put a CSL badge on there, okay? You pay the additional money for those features, but those features are in the box, okay? There is $600 in features inside of the box. Now, for most people, is it gonna be worth it? No, but that's why they only make like 300 of them, a couple hundred of them, and that's it. So, for a lot of people, oh, and you know, obviously the milling, and you get like the new, you know, obviously as you see, there's no screws here, you know, it's all flush. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you get in the CSL. So, you know, if you don't have $1,850, don't buy the CSL. So it's that simple. You know, do you go and get a Honda, or do you go get a BMW? It's basically what it is. So do you get a standard BMW, or do you go and get one with the ground effects kit? You know, the M3 or the M5 model. That's basically what you're looking at here. You know, this is a 3 Series or 5 Series BMW. This is the M Series. You know, that's, you know, a lot of people, oh, I'm not paying that kind of money. Well, good. Not everybody's driving around an M Series BMW either. So that's how I would compare it. Is value there for the CSL? Absolutely. For the people that want to pay the extra money, it is definitely in the box. The milling, the barrel kit, the ePortal software, the extra trigger, the valve, the Cure 4 bolt, the, you know, color selection, the badge. I mean, it's all there. There's definitely the additional $600 in value. But for some people that may not have the money, whatever. Geo 2.1, X-ball style play. You've got access to a fill station. You want a quiet gun, go with that. You're looking for something for semi-auto, you know, the Ego 11. But you guys saw with the Geo 2, I was hitting my 15 BPS cap when I was shooting the Geo 2.1 out there on the MPPL field. You know, the MPPL now has a 15 ball per second cap. I could feel my triggers moving faster than 15 balls. You know, I could feel the trigger going faster than 15 balls per second. Gun wasn't shooting it because I was hitting the cap. So just because it's a spoolie doesn't mean you can't shoot it fast. You know, I don't want to give that impression at all. I will tell you this, with my Geo 2, for people that are, you know, that maybe have a Geo 2, I'll tell you how I set my trigger up, which worked really well for me. What I did was I pulled my trigger out, I slightly increased the spring tension inside of the trigger cartridge, and then I removed the magnet that was on the front of the trigger. And for that, I just was able to rip on the trigger really fast in semi-auto. No bounce, it was perfectly legal, but for some reason removing that magnet and increasing the spring tension a little bit, man, that trigger was shooting fast. That gun was shooting very, very fast. You can see it in the video. So, you know, hopefully this helps you maybe make up your mind a little bit more, maybe answer some questions about them, but you can't go wrong with, you know, either of these 3 markers. They're all absolute top of the line in terms of paintball. So thanks for tuning in.